Welcome back. Today we're going to be addressing some points made in a Laci Green video post Trump winning the election. As this is a Laci Green video, I feel we're going to need a sandwich for it. So, oh Brooke, can I have my sandwich please?
Here you go. No, I'm just playing. You're a chip though.
I'll take the chip, but I'll be dealing with you later. That's Babbling Brooke, by the way. She makes some very funny skits on her channel. Please go check her out. Now, Laci, take it away. Given the reaction of some already...
It has to be a joke. I do not believe this is happening. I'm literally about to fucking kill myself and I'm not kidding. You better fucking fix this shit right now. I literally am gonna die. I need an ambulance. I can't...
Yeah, that. I'm actually quite impressed you have been a bit more composed. Now, I do want to make it clear I'm not going to go on the personal attack of, oh, you're a fucking sore loser, you cunt. No. I am, however, intrigued at the reaction of those who are on the losing side and of those on the losing side of the Brexit. Because it's very interesting, and I don't want to focus on the Brexit too much, but the resemblance is, well, striking. And I'm not now going to go and say, oh, fucking salty cunts. No. Anyway, carry on.
It happened, didn't it? It's not a nightmare that I'm in. It really happened.
Well, just to be sure, let's check in with your current president.
The sun is up, and I know everybody had a long night. I did as well. I had a chance to talk to President-elect Trump last night. President-elect Trump.
Well, I do hope that clears things up.
I have some feels to get off of my chest. I need to put it somewhere. So if you're all electioned out, which I totally understand, just a heads up, you can bounce.
No, it's okay. I'll stay. I want to hear what you have to say.
My sweet sex posse babes, the Trumpocalypse has arrived.
Now let's be honest, I made 10 videos campaigning for Cthulhu for president. Links to all below. Well, the playlist anyway. All you had to do was vote for me, and I would have ended everyone's lives. No single group oppressed or marginalized. Everyone dead. But you didn't vote for me, did you? And now you've got Trump.
Y'all know me well enough. I value equality. I think it's so important, inclusion.
Not to seem intentionally petty, but just after the election result was announced, you tweeted this out. For somebody who claims to be all about diversity, you have a remarkable blind spot towards white people.
Human dignity. Avoiding World War III. Those things matter to me.
Unless you voted for an independent and were emotionally invested in that independent winning, having Trump beat Clinton is the better option. Clinton was against things like gay marriage originally. Okay, yes, her opinion changed over time, but she was against it. Nothing ever certified to say that Trump was. Clinton wants to turn Syria into a no-fly zone. This has been panned by virtually every military leader in the US because it would cause conflict with Russia, something we do not want. Clinton would not have brought about change just because a vagina would have been in the Oval Office. This particular owner of that vagina is corrupt on a very different level to Trump.
I am so sad, and I am so angry, and I know that for many of you, your spirit has been crushed.
After seeing that tweet, yes, we all know you were angry. Your US elections are so divisive. I mean, you've had a few pretty easy wins for the Democrats. You've had a few close calls with the Republicans. But because of the population and there only being a two-party system, there is always going to be one side after that's going to feel all of that. The only difference now is that people make this known on social media more than they could have before, which makes those who don't complain, regardless of result, think, wow, you're salty, without really addressing the issue. Although I will say, exactly the same as the Brexit. And salty as fuck is applicable, but there is a deeper issue, of course.
So it's not really clear what exactly the future holds for us yet.
Well, depending on if he screws up magnificently or not, and if he gets a second term, anything up to 8 years, which, no offense intended, is a lot longer than what Clinton would have gotten, because the FBI would have undoubtedly opened an investigation the moment she got into the Oval Office and then had her impeached. At best, you would have gotten Kane.
But if we go by the election cycle, things do look bleak millions of us, myself included, could lose our health insurance.
You, the individual, will lose nothing because you can afford healthcare anyway. But those that cannot afford Obamacare, as it is more commonly known, will instead have access to something that is cheaper and more efficient, something that will cross state lines, something that can be bought across state lines. You would know this if you looked at Donald J. Trump's manifesto and positions on healthcare.
There could be serious cuts to scientific research, to climate change and clean energy efforts, to government programs for our sick and our poor, to education.
I would like to believe that's what people voted for. They've not exactly had much luck with previous presidents reneging or doing nothing at all. With Trump, they have no idea. He's never done anything to make you wonder if he can be trusted or not. So to help with your uncertainty, let's go through his manifesto and his pledges and see if we can quell some of those anxious feelings you may be experiencing. Your first major concern was cuts to scientific research. Science, or universities that conduct scientific experiments, or private companies, should find their own funding. It's like universities. They should not be supported by the government. We had this in the UK with our tuition fee rise. I don't support that at all, but I understood why it had to happen. Your next concern was with regards to protecting the environment, clean energy. Trump's pledges include protecting clean air and clean water. Hopefully that would include fixing Michigan, because that was terrible. He's also pledged to create more jobs and for the country to become more self-sufficient with what it currently has, and to protect the environment around where this work will be conducted, because he doesn't want to damage reserves. That seems pretty reasonable to me, to create jobs, to generate more money, to import less and export more. That's good. Now, I have already mentioned he intends to replace Obamacare with something cheaper, or something that overall is cheaper and easier to obtain. But now we go on to the poor. The one thing that's always overlooked are the veterans, and he made it quite clear they're going to be looked after this time, because they've never really been looked after. You always hear stories of them being homeless. It's almost a cliche in one of those crime shows. They're abandoned and sitting on a park bench at Christmas. Now, for those who are poor, those poor families, there are actually mentions in the taxes section where he wants to reduce taxes across the board, especially for working and middle income Americans who will receive a massive tax reduction, but also reduce the cost of childcare by allowing families to fully deduct the average cost of childcare from their taxes, which all in all will help them. Now, there are extreme circumstances of families that live not only hand to mouth but struggle far worse. Of course there are. I am not now trying to say that's good. That is totally unacceptable. Of course it is. Now on to your final point about education, or concern about education. And this contradicts my earlier bit, really, because his first statement on his education pledges immediately add an additional federal investment of $20 billion towards school choice. This will be done by reprioritizing existing federal dollars. Oh, maybe not. However, he has actually thought about this, and there's no real cuts mentioned to education. Sorry, Laci, but your concerns are not as valid as you are making them out to be. If anything, you are being the epitome of a fearmonger.
Planned Parenthood will be target number one.
I think Hillary Clinton's target's number one, but I do understand your point. Now, Trump has, at the GOP debate, praised Planned Parenthood for providing birth control and paths to breast cancer screenings, but he did say it should receive no federal dollars. And here is why. We're not going to allow and we're not going to fund as long as you have the abortion going on at Planned Parenthood. Trump was once pro-choice, he is now pro-life. Quite a lot of people are pro-life, by the way. There is, however, something he doesn't realize and might stop him defunding Planned Parenthood anyway, in that Planned Parenthood actually abides the rules where the money it receives under federal law, not a penny of it can be used to cover abortions except in cases of rape, incest, and life-threatening pregnancies. It complies with that rule, so it should continue to receive the $500 million annually it gets from the government.
My LGBT family now lives under a vice president who literally believes in electrocuting the gay out of children.
After looking at what Mike Pence has voted for and what he has stood for over the years, I can understand why people are concerned. They should not, however, be afraid. If they truly believe in democracy, they will know none of this will get through. Any repeal on civil rights will not work. It will cause riots. And they know it. Have faith in your democratic system. You do believe in democracy, right?
President Trump openly admits to sexual assault and is on trial for child rape.
It's President-elect Daddy Trump. And with all the digging I've done, I've yet to find anything substantial to back up the child rape case. There is mentions of a young lady called Jane Doe. Of course, they use that for a lot of people who are anonymous. But she backed out of speaking publicly, citing death threats. Since no one knows who she is, I'm inclined to believe that's not true.
He is proudly proudly endorsed by the KKK.
Just because the KKK support Donald Trump does not mean he supports them.
North Korea, Putin, for real.
As Russia have publicly said they're willing to work with America now, I think having Trump's a good thing. Glowing tea for all. No one cares about North Korea. Okay, maybe we should take North Korea a little seriously, but not so much. Their weapons testing records aren't great. They spend more of their time shooting their own generals. And even those weapons aren't that efficient. They have to use dogs. Based on the reports of their weapons testing, I could do better with a bottle of Coca-Cola and some baking soda.
Are we in the upside down right now? Because that's what it feels like. How the fuck did this happen?
For this, I'm going to pass over to 8-Bit Thought, because I believe he answers this perfectly. He explains himself in such a way that I never could, with malice. Enjoy.
I've been looking forward to this bit. I will explain how the fuck we got here. You fucking liberal retards have been insanely vocal on your stupid ideology and identity politics. You protest, you kick, you scream, you act like fucking children. And in the process of throwing your ADHD-style tantrum, you abuse people, you harass people, and you are violent towards people. On top of all of this shitty behaviour, you silence and shame anyone who disagrees with you rather than having a debate. And everyone is fucking sick and tired of your regressive shit. Laci, you are directly responsible for this. You spout utter shit on your channel and publicly shame people for having different views. That is not an effective way of changing minds. This will result in one of two things. It will either cause people to go further to the right or people to go silent. And this is what has happened. Now that silent majority has said the biggest fuck you to authoritarianism that has ever happened in my generation. And seeing all of you bitch and moan is making me so happy my cheeks hurt from smiling.
Please go subscribe. He is really entertaining.
First and foremost, because we let it happen. And that's like the hard part to swallow. But also, from where I'm sitting, our political establishment failed us. Lies and corruption in Washington warmed people to a candidate that is completely unqualified and has no experience.
Before he was elected president in 2008, Barack Obama only had 3 years' experience in the Senate, and he voted once on a register to say he was there. I think the system was failing you 8 years ago. Did you not see the warning signs when Jay-Z was singing for him?
People say that racism and sexism are over. No.
Yes. Well, okay, no. But only because social justice and feminism keep pushing this gender and identity narrative. But the problem is, you've pushed it so far that the people you attack now are predominantly white and or male. These movements don't do our society any favours, because they're pushing past what is equality and instead going for supremacy, and looking for any little difference between people to then create a victim and a label and a movement and a hate mob.
They're not over. They are very much a part of our social fabric. Trump saw that. He saw the undercurrent of misogyny and racism, and he rode that wave to electoral college victory.
And this is why you lost. This is why the left lost. The continual push of blaming everything on misogyny is irritating beyond belief. But you're not willing to accept defeat in this, or accept it as true. This continual regressive rhetoric is wrong. You've got 4 years to learn, I guess, at least.
Without a doubt, Trump gave a voice to unspeakable darkness.
And there you are with the labels again. I thought he was giving voice to a lot of very annoyed, very angry, very irate, very pissed off Americans.
But you know what? We don't have to listen to it. If you, my dear internet friends, somewhere out there in the world are hurting today, I have 4 reminders for you.
Oh, hang on, let me get a pen for this.
It's okay to feel angry or sad or confused. Your feelings are valid. 2, you are loved, you matter, and your rights will be defended. That is a personal promise. 3, remember that if it were up to young people, last night would have been a landslide in the other direction. So don't lose hope. There's tremendous good in the people around you. And 4, once the shock of this all wears off, anger and resentment may set in, like some people we know.
Okay, so you raise 4 points. Let's go through them. First, as with any election result, you have every right to be angry and confused and sad. Although if you are confused about the result, chances are you're very, very narrow-minded and haven't really taken into account that there is a massive amount of people with very different views to your own. You're not always right. The second, protecting rights. Trump will not try and remove civil rights. He will fail. He may have the House and the Senate at the moment, but the moment he tries tries to do that, he's done. As far as young people turning up to vote, and if it were up to young people, irrelevant. It's an entire nation that vote on this, and we're lucky that it wasn't down to just young people. But then surely that denies people their freedom to vote. Do you support that? I saw a meme of this, very similar to the US thing, and it had basically all the center states with Dumbfuckistan written on, and all the outer states as America. How lovely. How very mature. There is nothing wrong with having anger and resentment. I would say, though, if you're going to do something with it, do something constructive. None of this petty protesting and moaning. How about help the Democratic Party find a candidate suitable? Hillary was never going to beat Trump. Okay, somehow she got the popular vote. I did see that. But she was so corrupt. It's unreal. Bernie Sanders, I legitimately believed Bernie Sanders had a real chance of beating Trump. In fact, I believed he would. Why did the Democrat Party stab him in the back and go for Hillary? Oh, that's right. Rather than go with the guy that's been supporting civil rights his entire career, you went with Hillary, who's not.
We have to use our anger to help each other. Whenever you're ready, and you have a right to take some time, but when you get there, get ready to be vocal, get ready to get involved. Please be proactive.
Wait, so you've been defeated, but you're gonna come back anyway? Surely there are lessons to be learned here, not lessons that say, oh well, the misogyny beat us this time. We're gonna come back bigger, better, stronger, and we're going to point at the white man even more. Why don't you just learn your lesson? Is it so hard to believe that the majority just hate you?
I want to ask you guys to think about one question. What can we do to channel pain and anger and resentment into something positive and good for the world, for each other, and for our future, for the next 4 years and beyond?
If you're channeling anger and resentment, and you can do it right, take up boxing. Boxing's good fun. But if you're unable to get past this, I strongly recommend you stop hanging out with whoever it is that is poisoning your mind. Consider that politics is extremely diverse. Consider that your country is also very diverse. Accept that other people have different opinions and are not influenced by racism or misogyny or sexism. Think about the wider community and not just about yourself and very regressive ideas that do more harm to you than they do to the rest, because the rest have just pushed back and you suffered for it. Thank you all for listening.